Hey guys, Katie here with Axiom Wealth. I'm excited to walk you through something that's become a powerful tradition for our family, and that is our annual family strategic planning sessions. So, this is where once a year, Mike and I will leave town for a couple nights and dedicate time to plan out our future. We'll cover everything from financial savings and investing goals to experiences we want to have as a family. And what we have found is that taking time each year to align and reflect and set meaningful goals ensures that we are creating and building the life that we want to experience together. So today I'm going to walk you through the exact template that Mike and I have used for years. And my hope is that it brings your family closer together and provides you guys with the same type of purpose, connection, and excitement for the upcoming year. Let's dive in. Okay, this is the first tab of the spreadsheet. It's called instructions, just basic instructions tabs. So at a very high level, what you want to do is you want to start by picking your date. So again, a couple of things to think about is doing this in Q3 of the year, October, November, or December, to help get you set up for that following year. Going out of town is ideal with your partner, 1 to 3 nights. If going out of town isn't possible because you have kids and you can't leave them alone or you don't have family to help, then consider hiring a babysitter to come 9 to 5 on Saturday and Sunday so that you guys can get out of the house and conduct this session. So pick the date, put it on the calendar, review the agenda together. So we'll go through the agenda, but you want to review it together so that you guys are on board with the topics that you want to cover and you can both do a little thinking ahead of time. Then do some pre-work. So there's some vision and goal mapping exercises that are part of the agenda. And ideally, both partners and spouses do this ahead of time so that you guys can come together with formulated ideas that you then merge into one cohesive family vision and cohesive family goals. Then you conduct the planning session, you have it. And then lastly is you set a check-in rhythm. So, you've created these amazing deliverables of family vision and goals for next year, but you got to check in regularly to then actually execute on those throughout the year. So that's high level, kind of what you want to do. Now going into the agenda specifically. So we recommend that you start your session with a reflection on the prior year. So what did you accomplish? How did you accomplish your goals? What went well? Are there any amazing experiences that you had that you want to replicate? Even something like, we went camping with the kids that one time and it really shifted, how much time they want to spend outdoors, and that shifted how we spend our time. So we want to replicate that. Everything like that are things we want to do. Then we go into sort of the meat. And the meat is creating your family vision and then breaking that down into goals. And so we recommend starting with a 10-year vision. So thinking about what you want life to look like as a family in 10 years. Dream up, that big, beautiful life. And then we break that down into, okay, if that's what we're striving for, what can we accomplish in the next 3 years to get us closer to that 10-year plan? Then from there, it breaks it down even more tactically. Okay, if this is where we want to be in 3 years, what do we need to do this next year to get us closer to living this dream life we've envisioned in this 10-year plan? Then lastly, it's breaking that down into quarters. So often having a goal for the year is hard because your timeline seems big. You start off strong, but then you realize, oh, I have until the end of the year to finish this. And then the end of the year comes and you haven't done it. And so thinking about less of a year goal and more of, okay, what do I need to get done Q1? Then what are we tackling Q2, Q3, Q4? It helps get you to accomplish those, I think, with greater success. So set your quarterly rocks. Then from there, you've basically done your goal mapping. You've created this family vision and you've broken that down all the way into what are we accomplishing every quarter of next year. Then from there, it is, like I mentioned, setting that check-in rhythm. So how often do we want to meet to talk about how we're doing on these goals? Do we want to meet every Saturday morning for an hour? Do we want to meet for 4 hours on the last Sunday of every month? Whatever makes the most sense for your family, just decide together and then hold each other accountable to that, so that you're both showing up on the same page and you don't have one person really driving it more than the other. You want sort of equal buy-in for each of you. Then from there, we get a little more tactical and we do things like, update your calendar for next year. So filling in next year's calendar of when are we going to do our next year's annual strategic planning session? Well, when did we decide to set our check-ins? Is it blocking off one Sunday a month? Is it blocking off every Saturday? Putting that in the calendar so that that time is held sacred. And then filling up the rest of the calendar too with, we've been talking about, getting up to see the grandparents. Let's, plan that. Let's go in May, pick a weekend, put it in the calendar. So the more that you can populate that calendar, the greater likelihood that these things will get done, because that time will be reserved already. Then I have a couple other tools like documenting your journey, which I'll go through in a minute. But then lastly, it's just celebrating. So, celebrate the fact that you did this session, celebrate your milestones along the way, because it's about the journey, right? Not the destination, but having fun along the way. So this is the high level agenda for that session. How I recommend breaking it up ideally is if we can do 3 days away. Let's say, we travel on day one, we get into town, check in the hotel, and we have dinner out on that day one. And that's where you do this reflection. So it's kind of a celebratory, talking about the prior year, what went good, what went bad, that sort of night one. Then we spend the whole next day, so all of day 2, getting these goals in place. So starting with the vision and the 3-year plan, then the 1-year plan, all the way down to the rocks. So dedicate an entire day to kind of getting through that exercise. Then dedicate the next day to doing some of these tactical things like deciding on your check-in rhythm, filling out your calendar, figuring out how you're going to track progress, all of that on day 3. So that's kind of a day 1 to day 3 general guideline you can use. So then the other parts of this spreadsheet is the vision and goal mapping. So here's where you can actually sort of walk through that exercise of the 10, 3, 1, and quarterly. And there's question prompts to help you think about this. For the 10-year, again, it's turning on a dream machine, so you don't have to be super tactical because we do have quite a big runway to get us here. So it really is about that dream and what would my ideal life look like? And so again, ideally, both you and your partner have done this separately. And so on strategic planning weekend, you're coming together to bring both your ideas to the table and create a cohesive family vision. And there's space here to write it out. Then same for 3-year. Here's some questions to consider and then a space to write it out. And then lastly, your 1-year plan, write it out, and then breaking it up into these quarterly rocks so that you can tackle it. So that's this vision and goal mapping. Then these other tabs are tabs to help you with. So here's some accountability tools. How do you want to track your family's progress? You can use a notebook. You can use a Google task board. There's lots of different things. Just talk with your partner about what you guys think would work well for you. For Mike and I, it's Google Calendar. It has been a game changer. We, have a shared calendar that we can put things on. We both always see it so that we know what we're doing, what's coming up. So just tracking. Here's during your strategic planning session, here's where you can document what events for next year you have coming up. Again, it's goal setting events. So when are we going to do our annual strategic planning session next year? What do our check-ins look like? Put it on the calendar. Are there any sort of work events we know are coming up? What personal events do we want to put on? Do we want to start doing a monthly date night? If you do, put it on the calendar, right? And then last, this is just sort of a template you can use to document your journey. When it comes time for reflection at next year's annual strategic planning, you'll have something to look back on and kind of see how the year went, the good parts, the bad parts. So for work, did someone get a new job? Did someone lose a job? For investment events, did you meet someone who changed the trajectory of your investments, or did you start a new budgeting app that allowed you to save so much more money than you thought? What are these things that happened? And then life events. Did you have a baby? Did you become an empty nester? Did you renew your vows? Just having a space to sort of document it so that it's there. So again, here is our exact template that we've used for years. It has been a game changer for Mike and I in getting on the same page and then staying on the same page in how we want to live and build our life together. So my hope is that you'll take this and run with it. You'll make it yours, and you'll have this be part of your family operating rhythm to really be as intentional as you can be with how your family operates, how you spend your time, how you spend your money, and how you achieve all the great things you want to achieve. So reach out with any questions. I love talking about this stuff, so I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone gets stuck, and happy planning.